All right, hey guys, it's June 15, 10:30. Um, all right, Bitcoin. So I don't remember exactly where my other video left off, but I think it was somewhere around here, and we thought, some resistance was going to happen along this channel wall, and it kind of looks like that's what's happening. Is price seems to be trying to decide what it wants to do here. Um, I've done a few things, so. This seems like a potential for a running flat or essentially a shallower correction. And honestly, I don't really know what Bitcoin's doing in this structure. This is a little wonky. But some things to note. One, you can put a pitchfork on here that seems to be working and containing the price. So one, we have a pitchfork, a shift pitchfork. The other thing we have is potentially this A, B, and we don't know maybe where this C correction wants to end. But if you just measure it some noteworthy, here's the 100, here's the 1272, and here's the 61 or the 1618, which coincidentally, resides in the area that you want to be looking to be a buyer. Now, some things are like some signs are telling me that if this truly is correcting this whole thing, the 1 2, maybe, is this the 3, and then this was the ABC for the 4, and then the 5, so this is a 1 2 3 4 5, so completed structure, or is this just a 1 2 3, and then this is a 4, and we're going to go up to finish the 5, and then this structure will be done, and then we'll start to correct. All those things are possible. Um, Considering how shallow and how complex this correction looks, it does seem more indicative of a 4. So 1, 2, 3, and then this is the 4, and we're going up for the 5. That's how it's looking to me, and that would make a little bit more sense. Like technically, you'd pull from here then. You get almost the tag, the 382, one of the most common spots for a 4 to retrace. Um, so, I mean, I'm not a buyer in this range, and I still even wouldn't be a buyer. That's just a little too. It's too aggressive for me because if price seems to roll over and come down here, you're stuck with an entry up here, and that I just don't like doing that. But I could see Bitcoin, taking off from that would make sense to me, and it would actually even make sense considering how shallow this seems to be, and all the data like that I keep drawing seems to suggest a shallower retracement. Um, even the 618 is also a common spot for a C to end. So, which we've tagged. So this could just be an ABC for a running flat, and then we go up, and that's usually what you see in a 4 anyway. And also, if you do there's the Elliott wave theory, I don't know if they call it the law of alternation or the rule of alternation, but if this is the 1 2, which is extremely deep, probably 8 8, yeah, so 8 8 6, one of the deepest retracements, uncommon but not unheard of. That means that if this is a 1 2 3, the 4 is most likely going to be a lot shallower. So they do the opposite. So if the 2 is deep, the 4 is usually shallow, and if the 2 is shallow, the 4 is usually deep. So this is, to me, looking more like a 1 2, 3, and now we're doing a shallower 4, and then we'll probably put in a 5 to complete this structure. That's what it's looking like, and we'll see. I mean, I'd be interested in buying maybe along the extremes of this channel wall, which then, between the 1 and the 1272, I'd maybe would take maybe a swing there along this channel wall. I'd love to see something closer to the 50, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like it wants to get there. It seems like it's kind of just stopping along this median line. Maybe above this this shelf of support. And so it looks like that's what it seems like. So now it's just kind of a waiting game to see what it wants to do. I didn't take any profit here yet. I'm kind of just gonna keep adding on to my Bitcoin position where I can. I think if this thing wants to run, um, it's worth it. It's worth trying to play the trend. Looking at Bitcoin dominance, like this, I'm on the daily. Running into some moving average resistance. That's not uncommon. We do seem to be getting some divergence, so that I do think this might roll over just a little bit. I don't think that changes the overall trend that Bitcoin is going to continue to dominate the market over, the next, I would say, 2 months. That's just how it feels. But shit, I don't know. This could just be an ABC and it just rolls over and we continue to go down, which, that, we could come down and double bottom down here, that for sure. But right now, it just seems like it wants to go higher. And anytime that Bitcoin leads the charge in the market, which I think it's going to have to do in order to start a new trend across the board. If Bitcoin wants to do this, I think it's gonna overpower the rest of the market. I've been saying that for the last few videos now, so time will tell, I guess. So really, I'm just kind of keeping an eye on this structure, this correction, seeing how far it wants to go. Now, this structure you also see on other coins. Some coins are as shallow as Bitcoin is right now, and other coins are already down here. So I have two kind of lines of thought, and I'll just show two coins that are down here that I've entered on, respectively. So like, this is the same, structure that I guess ICP printed. Um, if you look at Bitcoin, it's the equivalent. Um, but during this correction, it came down a lot deeper. But it's kind of hard not to be a buyer right on a median line that is relevant, right on a golden zone, and also with algo confluence. You got the third algo target down here. You also have the 1618 off the move, which is an extreme for a C. A, B, C. It's an extreme for it, and we do seem to be. I mean, at least we're getting some. I'm a buyer here, and we're getting some at least resistance. So that's encouraging. But again, if Bitcoin wants to come down in this range, I guarantee you this is going to get blown up. But if this is a 4 and now Bitcoin's going to take off for a 5, you can expect, something like, the play to actually work. And same with Dogecoin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it's really nice. You pull the thing. It's right down to the 50. There's a moving average for the 30-minute. There's an algo target off this move. It's kind of hard not to want to take a swing in this area. So that's, and I'm doing that. It's just two positions here, light swing. I don't want to be too heavy into alts. I would prefer to be heavier into Bitcoin. And then if you look at other structures, this again, comparing it to the Bitcoin structure, this is the same structure. And here, very shallow. So it's very in line with what Bitcoin is doing currently. So if Bitcoin does want to come down into the 50 or the golden zone here, this coin will also want to come down at least somewhere in here. And I think I just have to take some swings here, especially when you see the strength of some of these coins. Just because Bitcoin's dominance goes up doesn't mean that some of these stronger coins that at least is when you compare it to Bitcoin can't either outperform it or stay on track with it. It just means in general the market is going to get crushed, which is why I'm trying to be heavier into Bitcoin. So those are the two things that I'm kind of, KNC. I'm jumping around a little bit. I just noticed that this is the other one that I'm kind of eyeing up. There's another juicy buy down here. I couldn't get through the 382 in the opposite direction. Algo target down here, moving average, golden zone. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave structure. I'll take this trade every single time. I don't, because the moment you don't is the time that it actually works, and then it just takes off, and then it's just you only have yourself to be upset with because it was a perfect technical setup according to your strategy, and you just didn't do it because you've taken so many losses already. You start to get frustrated, and you start to think, I'm just gonna not take these trades, and then it starts working, and then you're trying to catch up to it. That's been my experience. Um, and this is also nice because the range is so much smaller. You can even give it some room. That's 7%. So, and your target is, this. Could you make the argument if this golden zone held? If you go to the 8 hour, really you're trying to catch the trend. This is a true break of the golden zone, but ultimately you are trying to catch the trend of, if this is a 1 2 3 4 5 and now this is just a giant A B C, the idea is that, yeah, at some point this trend is going to continue, and at some point, maybe it's next year, maybe it's some whatever, but at some point you want to start getting your a position in, and the only way you can do it is go on a smaller time frame and start looking at 5-wave structures with nice impulses. So this is a 5-wave structure, and you just, sooner or later it's going to work, and the risk to reward is just so worth it. In other coins, I'm just kind of keeping on the high time frames, just seeing this shelf down here. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the market wants to do here for some of these coins. I mean, it kind of feels like it wants to roll over and go down here, but we are getting a shelf of support. It's, we could consolidate down here and then and rock it up. At this point I wouldn't be surprised, but before I start entering, I do want to see, you want to see some movement. And these coins didn't seem to have the strength of some of these other coins that I'm watching over here. So I'm not interested really in being a buyer on it. GRT is doing okay. All right, back to Bitcoin. Sorry. All right, 12 minutes. That's kind of where I want to leave it. That's my thoughts so far. There's a few different scenarios that this could be. And just to always keep the bear case alive. This isn't even 100% of this move, so this could just be an A, B, C, and all we're doing is correcting, probably from this pivot or something like that. I don't like that. I would say that this is the pivot I'd want to see being corrected. So we're still pretty shallow. I don't even think we hit the 382. No, we didn't. But this is where I think we're correcting now, or at least this is the pivot I think we're correcting, which does kind of say there is still a lot of runway here for this to keep going up, even in this pivot. And if it does, this is where I think we will hit resistance, which does give us an algo target, somewhere down here, which is a little concerning. But that doesn't mean we get there, just something to keep an eye out for. All right, I'm gonna cut it off there and see how these little swings go, and then keep watching these other alts as I compare to Bitcoin. All right, see you guys.